Walking through a mall, almost everything you see is future garbage. Look in the mirror and you will see future petroleum. That's not true. The food courts are future poop. Much of what's in the average mall is current garbage also. Sometimes I think about the scale of it all. Every Dollar General, Walmart. This pretty much applies to everywhere you look at except gardens or the wild. I can only see present garbage. Walking through a mall, everyone you see will die. Some turn into garbage the next year. The stuff you see today will never be antique of future. I literally had this exact thought today too. I got this dress at a thrift store for one as a bridesmaid's dress. Someone loved it intensely for one day and then tossed it. Like a Christmas tree. So special. Then, bam, it's on the side of the road. Tinsel still clinging to it. Like a sex crime victim. Underwear inside out, bound with electrical tape. Read When the World Stops Shopping by Jeff McKinnon. It examines overconsumption, its global impact, and what happens if we reduce it. And the grocery store is future poop. I always say something similar about dollar stores. It's all future landfill. Stopped going to mall 15 years ago. What dating app has proved most successful for you and why? Hinge gave me the most dates. Hinge is the best in my experience, and it's not even close. On Bumble we get matches with no conversation, and Tinder is filled with people that aren't looking for what I was looking for. Hinge is great because you learn more about the person from their profile and it leads to better matches. Of all time. Tinder probably, but Tinder sucks now. Tinder with how much variety is on there. But Facebook dating worked the best for me because that's how I met my wife. None of them. I was on them for 7 years and got nowhere. Dating apps are profitable when people remain single. Let that sink in. I met my wife in 2015 on Exipid. From my time in our Tinder, it seems like dating apps are a vast and treacherous hellhole now. So yeah, my friends use Hinge. But I've met my last few partners on youve dating. Way I more weirdos to sift. Don't use apps. Go out and meet people. Facebook. We are married now. Don't recommend anymore, though 2015 was a different time for hitting people up. Bumble, but so I don't get much quantity on the apps, and I've done much better with co-ed sports and meeting women via mutual friends. What personal or professional reasons do you have for getting up at 5 a.m. every day? My job is an hour away, and I still need about an hour to cry in the shower. I call it the curse of the working class. You get up at 5 a.m. every day for work for 20, 30 years, and it's hard not to get up at 5 a.m. every day. For the same reason that I like walking around while it is snowing. Everything is so very quiet. The house is still and calm. I have sensitive eyes. Dawn is better than sunrise because it's still light out, but it's not too also just smells fresh too. I actually get up at 3 a.m. every morning except weekends I'm up at 5 a.m. I like to work out, read, meditate, and shower before work. Prefer to run in the morning while it's still dark. My body loves it and naturally wakes me up now. I also work at 630, but also the mornings are so peaceful, especially with the birds and sunrise. Also am more productive in the AM. My cat gently positions itself on my neck to rouse me from sleep. As early as 6:30, AM traffic congestion begins on my route to work. I start my day earlier and leave sooner to avoid peak traffic times in both directions. I go to bed at 5:00 p.m. Well, I'd tell you, but it's, personal. What are your thoughts and experiences with the epidemic of directionless young men giving up and dropping out of society? I'm honestly hoping it transitions into an epidemic of young men saying, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me to." Maybe if society valued men for things other than their bank accounts, this epidemic never would have been a problem. I don't think it's a good thing. Something something village burned to the ground. Feel its warmth. Something like that. I'm here for the hyperbole and the inevitable grifters getting mentioned. Don't drop out of society, find where you and society can interact and it makes sense. I don't believe in a universal template or a common checklist. I understand completely, and if I didn't have expensive hobbies, I'd be tempted to do the same. Instead, I'm trying to get my investments built up to the point that I can just walk away one day and enjoy watching Soy City burn. I'd probably be one of them if my wife hadn't come along and made me act like a normal person. It's an epidemic of young people whose parents' generations reaped all the benefits for themselves and let the kids to deal with income inequality, environmental disaster, and housing, education, and job market in a disarray that benefits only the top end of the ownership class. We need to let men be men again. What's gotten so expensive that you no longer purchase it? Food from food trucksies, not spending $15 for a grilled cheese that I have to wait in the rain for. McDonald's. What happened to the dollar menu? There ain't nothing on there that costs $1. Mobile apps. I'm absolutely infuriatingly tired of subscription services. The worst is that they let you download the app so they can claim it as a download, only to get stonewalled by a subscription page. Let's go back to a one-time fee, please. At this rate, shelter and food. Subway, even the 6-inch subs are over $7 before chips and soda. I never buy chips unless there's some kind of BOGO. It's pretty damn expensive just to exist right now. McDonald's. Not that I can't afford it, but I am not paying the current prices for cheap, processed food for on the go. They are trying to be fancier. They should accept who they are and stick to being cheap and convenient. It has always worked for them. Frozen pizzas are reaching the point of being more expensive than real pizza. Concert tickets. Tickets. Where were you at 25 years old? How does it compare to today? By 25 you should already have 50 sons and 7 wives. At 25 I graduated with MIMBA, landed a great job, and met the woman I would marry. I have since retired early 55, and I am still married. 25 and 55 were great ages for me. The middle 30 years was a lot of work. At work still semi-hungover and rushing to finish up work so I can cure the hangover with more booze at the bar. Now don't drink, but unfortunately still have to work law. Living with 3 roommates. Waiting tables. Playing in a band. Partying all the time. Hooking up with hotties left and right because they hadn't developed standards times. Glad they're over. I had my house and career at 24. Now at 47 I have 3 more years on mortgage, kids' college paid for, and on track to retire early. Now I'm just waiting till my government to pull the rug out from under us so I can buy more distressed tangible assets. Not bad for a boy born into a poor dysfunctional home. Never say you cannot, for it is the moment you cease to be able to do so. Which city is the worst tourist trap? Hollywood Boulevard is pretty junky. Then, the Scientologists. They must be like youve. Any cruise port in the Caribbean. Niagara Falls was ridiculous. As much as I love the pure camp and cheesance that is Niagara Falls, the answer is Niagara Falls. Branson, Missouri is a pretty bad tourist trap. Pigeon Forgeton. Myrtle Beach, SK. A low-rent family vacation spot that's on the way to nowhere. It's cities that people don't like for some reason. Guys, Paris is not a fucking tourist trap. If tourists stopped going there, Parisians would be ecstatic. London, San Francisco, and Rome are not tourist traps. They are literally global hubs of commerce and the arts. How the hell are Paris and New York tourist traps? They are huge cities with so much to see and do. Like south of the border is a tourist trap. You go there are underwhelmed and literally trapped cause there's nothing else to do. Deadwood. Everything was generic. The food was trash, the nature was monetized, hardly any long trails. Post-pandemic Vegas. $30 cocktails in a plastic cup. What is something small you or so could do that would let you know you are in big trouble? Says my full first name, not the shortened version or nickname. You know, I just find it funny that whatever it is, it's never been funny. Her oh fuck. The same thing she always does to let me know I'm in big trouble. Tell me she feels bad because she had a dream where I did something wrong. Not finishing our text conversations the way have for the last 10 years. We always end then the other person responds. The only times we haven't ended it that way is when we are seriously upset with the other one. Calling me by my first name or calling me sir. Usually she says sir because she's annoyed and trying not to speak with an attitude. Ask me, would you still love me if L were a worm? Pass through the room without speaking. No tea bag in an empty cup at the kettle for when I get up and she's at work already. Humming that was an X and it meant real shit was on its way. Innocuous doesn't work on my ADAS. Every partner I've had knows I am direct. Silence after hearing me say something. A couple seconds of dead air after a statement or a recount of events is code for I am not happy with what you just said. For me, she knows I'm upset with her if I walk by her and don't smack the booty. Men, how long do you keep explicit photos and contact info for after you stop communicating with a woman? I do no management of my photos or contacts. It's so weird going through your message history and deleting photos. This process makes you look at these photos and convos of sight out of mind is way better. Just let him linger forever. I tend to delete everything straight away, especially if there's any bad blood. The last one I had feelings for. I didn't delete pics of her, not anything erotic. They could have gone in a high school yearbook. They were so tame for a year or two, I think. You're talking like explicit photos and contact info are the same things. I personally never erase contact info. I just don't. Nobody cares and it doesn't affect photos I delete right away. That's the right thing to do. I must admit it was tempting not to a couple times, but I'm glad I did. It's disrespectful and not healthy. If it's sexy pics, delete those. It's conversations, who them, and let them be. That's my opinion. Edit, I had some spins for up to E because I couldn't let go, but I eventually deleted everything. All photos are saved forever. What is something that Reddit claims is common, but you've never actually seen it in real life? That everyone has a therapist or lawyer on hand that they can just call up and get in right away. Taco Bell instant diarrhea. I'm sure it happens to some people, but it's not just Taco Bell as the cause. Women getting mad at men for holding the door open for them. I once knew a person who lived in South Asia who was surprised when an American told him I am still close to my parents and see them regularly. He said television movies and particularly the relationship subreddits made him think that all Americans permanently sever ties with their parents at age 18. If you were to believe Reddit, everyone's out here making per year yet barely able to afford rent and groceries. Being accosted as a single man at a playground. I've got 2 kids and have taken them to countless playgrounds, splash pads, parks, and all types of kid-friendly places. I've seen lots and lots of single men, but have never seen one get harassed. People immediately insisting on a bridge-burning breakup. I make a year, and I can't pay my rent. Americans being dumb. They're just like anywhere else in the world. I didn't find them to be particularly dumber than anywhere else. Compared to Western Europe, I saw more people overall and more of them lower income. How common is it for a girl to come over without knowing you at all? It's happened about as many times as I've been to the moon. He's good looking and playing the numbers. At that age. Pretty common, everyone is on heat and lots of pull down for spontaneous fun. It's easy if you follow The two rules: be attractive. Two, don't be unattractive. As a college student who's done the same, it's not hard. You forget girls can be just as horny as guys a few times, more often than me being invited over to theirs. Women want to get laid pretty bad too sometimes. Mix in some drinks, decent-looking people, and anything can happen. It happens occasionally, and I'm only moderately good-looking. When I was in my March 6th, 2024, it happened a lot with me, so I would say pretty common. Brew, if he's a 7.58 out of 10, there's no surprise that an average-looking woman might say yes to him, inviting her over. He'd be more surprised if this was a 5'10 having that same sort of luck. Very common. Women are just as thirsty as men, or even thirstier. There is no such thing as rental cars in the Cars universe. I'm pretty sure prostitution exists in every world. I bet there are, just don't get to see those parts of town in the movies. That is like saying you can't rent humans in our universe when you definitely can. Does a Cars Pope imply the existence of a Cars Jesus? You're thinking of the Ford Escort. What about prostitution? I mean, it was a Disney movie. They aren't gonna show that. Pavement workers, son. They're called pavement workers. Oh, there most definitely are cars of the night. Cars has some doozies like Wory the sidewalks for, and the buses. Depends on the kind of rental you're talking about. Enterprise and other car rental companies are just brothels. Just look for the red headlights. It's 'cause it's paraded. I see both sides of this argument. On one hand, there is no rental car equivalent to our rental cars in the Cars universe. On the other hand, there is absolutely rental cars in the Cars universe. We just call it prostitution. I have a rental name is Svetlana, and I go to her every week to get the Wednesday special at the motel. And don't get me started about what's happening on Cybertron. Doesn't Sally have a tramp stamp?